親戚に下って植生の研究をするのが夢だと公言するアニスフィア王女に負けず劣らずの問題児だったのだ。だが彼は精霊契約者のリュミ殿だ。
私はあなたに会いに来たんだから。ねえ、ユフィめるために来たの。過ちを繰り返さないために語りましょう。ある一つの物語。
You know, at this point this season, I think one of the biggest crimes is not enough people have been talking about the Reincarnated Princess, the Magical Revolution, all this stuff. Like, I don't think enough people have been talking about this anime. It is just so good. It's more than what we deserve. Like, this episode really showed me how absolutely incredible the writing is. In reality, nothing really happened this episode, like from like an action standpoint, but regardless, like it was just so absorbent of your time because it was so excellently written. We also got left off on a cliffhanger of some sort as well, and we found out a lot of information. I think the one thing that if depending on when you click off this video, the one point I want to make is, you know, it wasn't so apparent to me as it truly is now, but one of the things I thought was so important this episode was Yuffie and Annis, they go into town, right? And Annis is bombarded by all the townspeople that she frequents and visits and talks to on a frequent basis. And at this point, we can all be on the same page that she has the total support of all of the townspeople, of all the people in her kingdom, from the people at the guild to the adventurers to the people running stands to the blacksmiths. Like, she has the support of her people, but even her own people are conflicted at her being the next queen. And it didn't really hit me at first, you know, and it was one of those things that's like, well, if they're so supportive of Annis, if they have like, if they basically fully trust her, like she is one of them, you know, in not so many words, it's like, well, why wouldn't they support her to be queen? They know that she's like very intelligent, very smart. She will fight for the people. Like, so what's going on there? Well, it hit me a little bit later of when I forget who it was. I think it was Ilya. So when Ilya was talking to Yuffie about, you know, hey, what do you feel in this case? And she was talking about her, you know, her thing with the townspeople. I didn't really realize that if Annis becomes queen, she can no longer do the things that she does currently. She can't be part of the Adventurers Guild. She can't be an adventurer. She can't be the one to be first in line to go and save the kingdom. She can't frequent the townspeople. She can't go visit the children. She can't go visit the shops, you know. She can't go and provide them technology at some point in the way that she does. She has to have people and consults and, you know, and consorts and consults and people and teams, and like she can no longer do the things that she does. So although the people do trust her immensely, and I don't think that I don't think the people think that she would lead the country the wrong way. I think that from their perspective is they're losing somebody so important to them who is real, who they can touch, who they can interact with, who they can, you know, bounce ideas off of. You know, she's worth more in gold to them as not the leader of the kingdom, but as somebody who is influential within the kingdom, who could be kind of like a voice for the people, like a mediator, right? Like, so it really didn't come together for me until I really started like thinking about it, you know, of like, well, why wouldn't they, you know, want this? And it all made sense because, you know, the king or queen, you know, whoever's going to run the country they're at the top of that food chain. It's like they can't, you know, they can't suddenly come down to the people, even if they want to. Now, I'm sure that there's moments to where, like, you know, the king or the queen, they can sneak out. They can have, but the frequency and of which she kind of is present would go away 95%. So I was like, wow, that is really good. It's really good writing, you know, and I absolutely love that. I'm taking up a lot of time just talking about that, but I was just so taken aback in a very positive way about that. I was like, wow, you know. The rest of the episode, there's a couple other things, but there's a couple other things I really want. There's a lot that happened this episode, by the way, but there's a couple other things I want to hit on 100% before I, kind of wrap things up. I thought it was really important too how Duke 𝐜𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥, which is Yuffie's dad. At some point, there's two things we learned about him specifically. A, him and Anis's dad have been friends for seemingly their whole entire lives. So finding that out was interesting. At one point, Anis's dad, the current king, wanted to be a gardener and wanted to tend to flowers and plants and be like a herbologist, which is awesome. That's so cool. But he had to make a choice, kingdom or dream, and he chose to, based on his duty, royal duty, he chose to lead the kingdom, and he left those dreams behind. This was brought to the surface where, Yuffie's being a little selfish and, talking about Anis and stuff. And unlike, I think herbology and all of that stuff is amazing, but unlike, when it comes to Anis, unlike her dad, what she will provide to the kingdom in her pursuit of magicology and dermatology is way more important for the future of the world. Not just her kingdom, yes, but the future of the world versus somebody who is a herbologist who can maybe make potions and things like that. I think that's incredibly important. It's awesome. But the weight in gold that Anis brings to the table, not being a figurehead and not being allowed to do what she wants to do, is just so much more important to the world. So I think that's where the difference kind of comes in a little bit. Then we also find out that Gantz again was we meet a girl, and her name Lumi. She's a spirit contractor, and apparently somebody who contracts with the spirit. So basically, the spirit contractor comes, and it basically offers somebody to contract with the spirit who is attuned to them, basically has an affinity for them. And somebody who decides to contract with the spirit can then be in the succession for potential royal, I don't want to call it decree, but basically she can be in the running for royalty if she contracts with the spirit. And this goes based on the kingdom's lineage and history, and based on how people have gotten to the throne before. So this girl comes to basically not offer Yuffie a spirit, but basically come to tell her not to do it. And we're going to find out next episode on the nuances behind what those words mean and what's contracting with the spirit really means, and the weight of it. But I just thought that was interesting. So now Yuffie, who has now admitted this episode that she doesn't want Anis to be queen, not because she doesn't think she can do it, but because of what she has to give up. So A, she admitted that. B, she admitted that she loved Yuffie admitted that she loves Anis, which I was like, oh, that's so sweet. But then she's also now thinking of okay, she can be queen, and Anis can be allowed to do what she wants to do, and Yuffie, is more, doesn't have as much from a goal perspective to where she's been trained her whole life to be a queen. She could do it, and she could do it in partnership with Anis or whatever too as well. So I think that could be a reality. I've taken up a lot of time. So the last couple of things I'll talk about this episode is the freaking OP is amazing. I freaking love that so much. I love Tilty. Tilty's my favorite character in the anime. I love her. I love her little bags in her eyes, the way she looks tired, everything. She was like that. She's like the ideal anime waifu for me. And I like how she just she went in on Anis. How dare you have that effing face in front of me? I love that so much. And I also love how Tilty just brought up of Anis doesn't need to have no kid. Go adopt a royal kid or whatever, to have your lineage move on. I was like, yeah, that's my girl Tilty. You tell her. So I love that as well. And then I thought it was incredibly sad when Anis started taking apart her lab and stuff. So there's so much more I could talk. I could talk for another 10 minutes about this, but I will not. I don't want to talk as long as the episode was, so I'll just say, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what points I didn't cover this episode. Let me know what you really took away. But this episode for me was 10 out of 10. It was damn near perfect. This was just such a good episode, and it just, I was just so captivated by it. It's just so good. So good. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Peace. Peace.